Hello and welcome back to the Pixel Street Podcast. This is a big episode, guys. Episode 150. Can you believe it?
I know. We've been doing this for 150 years.
150
Crazy, right?
years. An episode a year
Yeah.
keeps the doctor away. But yeah,
And I just have to say, you guys don't look a day over 100. To be honest, like
I
it's
feel
incredible.
I feel like I am.
Yeah, honestly, that's
See
real
this
talk.
beard?
I mean, look at the
This is
background behind John.
depression.
Look at
This is
behind John. There were no trees when we started podcasting.
yes, they grew.
But anyway, if you did not know, this is the podcast where each and every week, a bunch of fucking nerds, we get together and talk about video games. And we've kind of grown out of that a little bit, where like now I'm streaming a bunch. There's a lot of Let's Plays on the channel, unboxing videos. So be sure to check out youtube.com/Pixel Street Videos for your gaming needs, I guess. You want to watch me
Yeah.
unbox Halo statues? Well, you're gonna get some more of it because there's more coming out.
There's a new one coming out.
Yeah.
Are you gonna buy
You got it
both?
pre-ordered?
Or are you gonna try to?
So here's the thing. I like the blue one better.
well,
because-
it's the original.
That's
of
the one I
course, yeah.
pre-ordered.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is the red one came up for pre-order like before the other one, so I bought the red one right away through Best Buy. So I might just cancel that one and then get the blue one, because I don't like the red one that much. I feel like it looks weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Has there
sacrilege.
ever been a
you know?
red sword?
Well,
Besides
so
just like
just recently in Master Chief Collection, they've been putting skins into swords because of the new. It's like the season of elites right now, so they've put like skins in to be able to change the color of the sword. So I kind of think that's what they're hinting at because, as we know already, with the Halo Infinite multiplayer, there's gonna be a lot of customization options. So I'm sure that's gonna be one of those options as well. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I'm gonna end up just
the
switching to
new
blue.
statue, we should say, is a Halo Infinite dedicated statue.
So I did want to. It's
So was the
totally
old one.
like not worth talking about, but there are totally in-universe different color swords. The first different color that showed up would have been in Halo 2. It was called Bloodblade, I guess, is a thing. Which is interesting. Apparently Wiki has a bunch of different ones. There's like Prophet's Bane, Vorpal Talon. I don't know what's up with that. It's weird. Halo's gone crazy. We'll see in Infinite.
No, yeah, but John, that first statue was also Halo Infinite as well. It does
Yeah.
say Infinite on the box and everything, but
Yeah, I know. I was just saying these new ones are for sure. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's probably why they're different colored swords.
yeah. But anyway, we are Pixel Street here. I'm Joel. You can follow me on Twitter at Campo63. We are also joined by the man who has yet to try out his nacho cheese machine.
Oh no, that's a lie.
Well, how come there's no
Ooh.
video on the channel?
Breaking
I-
news.
I'm too busy eating it. I've used
John
it
Hansen.
multiple times. It's
John
so
Hansen.
good. I love it. What's up?
How's the nacho cheese?
It's great. I've got a big tub. It's about halfway gone.
How many times have you
Um,
just stuck your head under it and just like dispensed?
Well, my giant head is too big for that.
Oh,
but
bummer.
it
Can-
it
you can't
is
just, like,
really
lift
good.
it, or-
It's really good though. Really delicious. And I have a problem of putting too much in it. So by the end, I just have a bunch of nacho cheese just left over. And I'm like, I don't want to waste this, so I force myself to keep eating it.
Oh, that's pretty disgusting. Moving on, also joining us is not a cop, Connor Cop.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not. I never want to be. So that's a thing. My parents, when I was a kid, they asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up. And when I was younger, I always used to say really stupid things like video game designer or
Used to.
this is going somewhere, John. Okay. I always said stupid things like video game designer. Now that I'm older, my dream job is to just not have to work, actually. So I don't want a dream job at all. So if there are any sugar daddies out there taking applications for somebody who likes video games, you can probably reach me on the internet. Just send me a link. I'll do things for cash. I don't know. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, I mean, at any rate, this week we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Some big news coming out of Nintendo on some new hardware. Ubisoft.
It's the Pro you've been waiting for.
The Pro you've been waiting for.
No?
Ubisoft
No?
talking about the next Assassin's Creed game. Is this the next Assassin's Creed game or just a
It's
future
the
Assassin's
final
Creed?
one.
Don't know.
It's
The
the
final
final
one.
one. They're never making one ever again. This is it.
But yeah, let's just start off and talk about the new Nintendo Switch. Well, that's not what it's called. It's actually called the Nintendo Switch OLED. What are your guys' initial thoughts on this?
Well,
That's a
here
stupid name.
before we go into that, let's talk a little bit about what this is, because for months now we've heard rumors upon rumors that hey, Nintendo's making upgraded hardware. It's going to be better than the Switch. It's going to put out 4K, 60 frames per second, all that stuff. Which, honestly, the 4K thing I never believed to begin with. But this Switch OLED has no upgraded power at all in it. The only difference between this and your traditional Switch is it has a 7-inch OLED screen, better speakers for portable audio, has double the internal storage, taking it to 64 gigabytes. It's got a wider back stand, and it has a built-in Ethernet port on the dock. If you're interested in that and just want the dock, you can buy it on Nintendo's website, but it will not be at retail, or you could just pay $30 and get the Ethernet converter thing. So yeah, this is not a significant upgrade at all. I wrote a couple articles about this. One I really went in on saying if you already have a Switch, this isn't for you. You don't need this. It's not a gigantic leap forward. The only way I could really recommend buying this, because it's $350, $50 more than the Switch is usually. I only really would recommend this if you don't have a Switch yet, or if you need to replace yours for whatever reason. The Joy-Cons are exactly the same, so expect them to drift in the future. Like I said, no power upgrade at all, just a Nintendo Switch. There's nothing special about it.
Yeah. My thought process with it as well is I feel like this is only for somebody who doesn't have a Switch yet and wants a new Switch, like that is not the Switch Lite, one that you can dock, or somebody who plays their Switch handheld a lot, which for me, I don't, I play it handheld a lot, but I don't I'd say 90% of the time I play it, it's handheld, but I'm not playing my Switch all that much to justify buying this new Switch console, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the power, did they say if it just has the same battery size, or did they say it's the same?
Everything is the same on the inside.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
it's literally
so
same CPU, same
it's
RAM.
absolutely-
everything.
No. I get that, but that means that it could potentially have less battery life then, right? If it's a
No,
bigger
same
screen
battery.
and OLED. No, if it's the same battery, but it's a bigger
No,
screen.
it's the same battery life and everything. Like that, according to Nintendo, if you look at their comparison charts, it is the same across the board. Like there's no battery charge loss or anything in it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Connor,
Yeah,
what do you
page
think about
open
it?
here. I'll see if I
It's
can
like-
find anything.
it's like 4.5 to 9 hours depending on the game you play across the board, except for the Switch Lite.
I always found that very fascinating, that drastic difference, 4.5 to 9 hours.
Well,
Yeah, right.
I mean, are you
Yeah,
playing
I
Breath
get
of the
it.
Wild against
Yeah.
Mario Kart? So
I went back and forth on this. My initial gut reaction to this was kind of one of shock, because it just doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you consider we had some what I would consider to be very reputable people in the industry report that Nintendo was doing some kind of pro upgrade, whether it was 4K or not, whatever it may be. Increased battery life was in talks, better CPU, the DLSS stuff with an NVIDIA chip being on the inside. A lot of that stuff was touted from, again, very reputable sources, and we got none of that. And it's kind of disappointing. So initially, when thinking about this, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me as to why you would do this as Nintendo. But thinking about it more, I think that there is a target audience that this makes sense for. Obviously, like you guys said, the people that don't have Nintendo Switches, but Above and beyond that, you have to remember too that they put out the Switch Gen 2, which had the longer battery life and some upgraded internals and stuff. Nothing crazy, but that could be a compelling reason to upgrade if you were going to go from the Gen 1 to the OLED model. If you have a Switch Lite and you really like that handheld play, and you also want the TV access, that's actually what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to end up potentially buying this. I'm still kind of thinking about it. But I have the Switch Lite currently, and I like the larger screen on the original, or rather the OLED, the new model that they have. So I think there are certainly cases in which this makes sense. It is incredibly disappointing for this not to be what we thought it was going to be. That said, I don't think 4K matters anyway because the screen's so small and it's inches from your eyes in some scenarios. 4K doesn't really matter at this point. You know, I think it's kind of a buzzword that like 4K is cool and all, but just plug it into a TV if you really want to play in 4K. Your TV's going to upscale it just
that
fine.
was the
So.
No,
that's
it's
what people were
1080.
hoping.
Well,
Yeah.
your TV will still upscale it potentially if your TV has that ability to that point. But of course, it's not going to run native 4K. And honestly, anybody who thought that Nintendo would put out a console that would push native 4K, they might want to see a doctor because I don't know if we're talking about the same company here. You know, these are the guys that put out a DSi 6 months after the DS Lite launched. So. Yeah, it's weird. It's strange. I don't think it makes sense for everybody. Like I said, I'm probably going to get one. I think it looks cool, but the lack of
It's
any
Oreo flavored.
meaningful, yeah, right. The lack of any kind of meaningful changes is incredibly disappointing. Like, obviously the Joy Cons are one of the big talking points. I hate the digital triggers on the Switch, regardless. I wish there was some kind of analog option out there. Is it kind of shuts out racing games from being a possibility on that platform? Good racing games coming at you,
Well,
Mario Kart.
Connor, may I suggest the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, which you can use
It's
with
also
the
digital.
S1.
No, it's also digital triggers. They are binary, so they have two states, and it's garbage. I've looked into it. I'm mad about it. Yeah, I don't know. It again, it's weird, but you know, it's Nintendo being Nintendo, and if this is your thing, buy it. If not, your Switch that you have right now is going to get you by just fine. You're not going to have to upgrade or anything like that. Um, you know, larger screen, fantastic, but like Joel said, I mean, you know, with a larger screen, I would almost be worried that that battery drains faster on the OLED model as you are pushing more pixels at that point. So, um, yeah, Nintendo Switch OLED, terrible fucking name. Why?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I don't know.
It's better than new Nintendo Switch.
I would have accepted that over OLED, to be honest with you.
While still very
It's
unlikely,
easy and it gets the point across. This is the big change. Like the other little changes, yeah, they're nice, but they're not game changers by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want to switch with a better screen. Okay, get the OLED model. I'm fine with it.
I think what they, you know, I was talking to my wife about this. They should have just discontinued or announced that they're discontinuing the current Switch model because there is no reason whatsoever for them to coexist.
Yeah.
And that's got to be happening in the future, right? Like, there's no way they keep producing that original model. It was just weird to see them all kind of stacked side by side in that graphic. It just, yeah, it's not big enough of an upgrade to say, hey, we've got two different SKUs, spend 50 extra bucks for yada, yada, yada. Just kill out the original Nintendo Switch already.
That wouldn't surprise me if we hear within the next couple months that the original Switch is being phased out because there are
this thing's what, October is the launch
October
for
8th.
the OLED. Okay,
Yep.
we got a little time.
My one thing about that though is, man, this should be a $300 console if they were gonna do that. While I just said I don't really, it wouldn't surprise me. The reason it being $50 more kind of makes me think that they're gonna hold on to the original Switch because it's Nintendo.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I'm not a big fan of this update at all. You were mentioning the Joy-Cons, and like really the main reason why I was excited to hear some news about an update was, okay, if they're updating the rest of the hardware, they've got to be working on the Joy-Cons because they are so integral to the Switch experience. Yeah, I have my Pro controller, which I absolutely love. I think it's one of the best controllers ever. But the Joy-Cons are just, they need to be better.
Subpar.
There, there's nothing short of an improvement on the Joy-Cons is acceptable at this point, and it hasn't been for a while. So
Right.
yeah, but Nintendo's gonna Nintendo. There's just not much more to say on the Joy-Con and hardware issue.
Classic Nintendo.
Yep.
Classic Nintendo. Let's move on. Ubisoft confirms a new Assassin's Creed game is codenamed Infinity. Some stuff about it. It reportedly is a game that will involve various time periods and will evolve over time. It's years away from releasing. What do you guys want this game to be? Do you think it's gonna have multiplayer or single player? What the fuck is this?
It's worth noting, and just before we talk about this, that Ubisoft, for all intents and purposes, was not ready to talk about this, and it's not something that they had any plans to talk about anytime soon. Rather, Jason Schreier, Joel Campos' favorite guy, he's got a poster on his wall. Just ask him; he'll send you a picture
it's on my
sometime.
ceiling.
Of Bloomberg actually ran a story today.
That's
the day
what
that we're
Joel
recording.
does when he sees Jason Schreier. He Bloombergs all over the place.
Shit, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And he ran a story about kind of the plans at Ubisoft for the Assassin's Creed franchise moving forward, and how a lot of the people that were kind of accused of some very serious and worrying things are still in relatively high up positions overlooking this project and overseeing teams in which I don't really think they should be. Of course, all of these situations are different. Each one has its own nuances and stuff. But it's kind of continuing a conversation that started with the whole Me Too movement and the things that we heard out of Ubisoft with some real sexual harassment stuff going on there, and with them basically having done nothing about it. And that's where we're kind of caught up to the present here. Is Jason's story was meant to kind of highlight the fact that Ubisoft still seems to be kind of brushing these things under the rug, and their response to that story was, "Hey, let's announce Assassin's Creed Infinity," which of course it was. You know, they want to take the dialogue and conversation elsewhere. So that said, Assassin's Creed Infinity, I think I hate everything about this idea. There is not a single redeeming factor to this that I'm a fan of, and this is an incredibly asinine move for what I think is one of the most storied franchises in video games. I mean, Assassin's Creed has obviously been around. The first one was what, like 2006, 2007, something like that. 2007, and fantastic game. Obviously improved upon with the sequel. I think Assassin's Creed 2 is one of the best games of all time, and they've slowly evolved the franchise into this kind of RPG. But I think the series is far too large these days. Have you guys played the recent Assassin's Creeds, Valhalla and Odyssey?
Yeah.
John, I think you played Odyssey, right?
I actually just recently put out a ranking of every single mainline game. So
Ooh.
yeah, Odyssey's the best.
Odyssey is very good.
It is, and I do want to say, like, the modern games aren't bad. It's just that we're getting to the point where everybody I talk to has a difficult time finishing these games, and it's the same experience for me. Like, I don't know if it's something that you guys have been dealing with on these, but I get so burnt out on the Assassin's Creed experience by the time I've made it halfway through the game that half the time I never come back, and I haven't touched a DLC for an Assassin's Creed game since, Black Flag, maybe. I just don't feel the need to. Is that something that you guys are kind of feeling with these? I just think they're too big.
Yeah, I mean, I played the Odyssey, one or two of the DLCs, just because it was kind of... I didn't play that game until after it had been out for like a year, I think, year and a half. So it was just like included in the bundle of the game that I bought. Sure. And I just so happened to have like stumbled across a quest that led me into one of the DLCs as I was playing. So I did play some in that, but I don't think I've played any in any of the other Assassin's Creed games.
John.
Yeah. I'm not planning on playing the Valhalla DLC because that game wasn't as interesting to me. But I
Right.
played through most of the Odyssey one.
If
Origins, I
Odyssey
don't think I
didn't
touched.
have such a compelling uh, character that it focused on, and Cassandra, we don't even talk about Alexios. Terrible. Uh,
Mhm.
but if Cassandra wasn't such a fantastic vehicle for that game, do you think you would have put anywhere near as much time into that game as you did? I just think that the
Yeah.
worlds are so lackluster.
Yeah. I don't need Assassin's Creed characters to be amazing to enjoy the game. I just enjoy that gameplay so much. Uh, Black Flag, I know people love that game so much. It's not one of my favorite Assassin's Creeds, but I played through it even though I didn't like Edward Kenway. He
Mhm.
wasn't that interesting to me. I thought he was really lame. All the other pirate characters, I thought they were amazing. Having Blackbeard in a game, totally awesome. But it just mostly comes down to the gameplay with me with Assassin's Creed. Yeah, there's been a lot of samey stuff, but like I still enjoy it a lot, and I'll still enjoy it. The ancient Greece setting in Odyssey was amazing to me.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I loved absolutely every part of it. I loved the environments. I loved the mythical creatures that they would like sprinkle around in there. Yeah, no, Odyssey to me was absolutely amazing. I probably would have put as much time into that as I did if I was forced into playing as Alexios. Even though you're right, Cassandra is one of the best Assassin's Creed characters, while Alexios is one of the worst.
Yes.
I do want to say that one of the things I think I like most about Assassin's Creed games is how single player they are. In terms of like, I like that
Yeah.
I haven't played Valhalla in like 2 months at this point. But when I go back, because I do plan on beating the game eventually, when I go back, I'm gonna be like right where I left off. In
Mm-hmm.
If this was a live service game, I could go back and potentially have to, I don't know, like grind out new gear to be able to do what I'm doing. And I might, by the sound of it, if it's gonna evolve over time and there's gonna be different time periods, how do I know I'm gonna be able to pick up right where I left off? They might just be like, hey, you're in fucking Rome now. Now you gotta figure this out. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
No, I think that's a genuine concern. You look at the live service games that are out there, and I was kind of thinking about it the other day as I've been dipping my toes back into Destiny 2, and it's okay to have a game or two because I feel like I can keep up with that relatively regularly. But when every game wants to be the only game that I play, it's frustrating,
It's a problem.
honestly. Right, right. Like you said, you jump back into Destiny after a couple of months, and it's kind of an entirely different game, and that's totally not what I want out of Assassin's Creed at all. I want that single player experience. I want to explore. I want to check out the open world. I'm okay with a dense open world. I do wish the games were a little more streamlined. I think they've kind of spilled out a little bit, but uh, that said, I totally agree. I think moving this into a live service just doesn't make sense in my mind in any way, shape, or form for what I love about the games personally.
I'm on the other side. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with Infinity. Just looking up Jason Schreier's feed here, he says details on Assassin's Creed Infinity are still in flux as it won't be out until 2024 or later, but it may be some sort of hub that allows people to play multiple AC games, both big and small. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're just trying to change things up, which is really what Assassin's Creed needs. Because even while I do enjoy the newer games and I enjoy the changes in them, I'm with you. They're way too big. There's no arguing that. So this could be a way for them to combat that, and just instead of getting a game with just way too big environments like Valhalla and Origins and Odyssey, you get something more along the scale of that we were getting with the past Assassin's Creed games, but maybe something a little different. I'm not sure. On the single player and multiplayer front, I I love single player in Assassin's Creed. I also think they've done really well with multiplayer in the past. The old like assassin mode that they had was pretty
I think it
fun.
was Assassin's Creed 3 that had that.
It was in 3 and Revelations,
Yeah.
maybe Black Flag as well. That was fun. it didn't really last long because it just wasn't that special. There wasn't much to it. But the cooperative multiplayer in Unity was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Unity is also just an underrated game because it came out with so many bugs and glitches and everything. If you check out my ranking though on the games, I note that like those issues are taken care of. Like, give that game a try because it's pretty good.
It's worth playing, indeed. Yeah, I can back that up.
All right, moving on. Hackers have attacked Apex Legends on PC because the first Titanfall game has a hacking problem. Now the Titanfall community is under fire. And John, you posted an image here. Do you
Yes,
want to talk
I
about
posted
this?
an image of the what people were seeing when they got into the game. So instead of being able to choose uh, what game mode, what map, whatever you do in Apex, I don't even remember. It's been like 2 years since I played. Um, Instead of being able to choose what you would play, the like play button had a message that said uh, it, it would say savetitanfall.com. TF1 is being attacked, so is Apex. And then you would play you if you got into a game, you would come out and it would have an important message saying visit and repost savetitanfall.com. So savetitanfall.com is made by a community that really love Titanfall 1, but the PC version apparently is just awful. Like there's just it's unplayable with bots and hackers and everything. So someone decided to hack Apex Legends, put that message in there, and if you got that message, most of the time you were completely unable to queue for any game at all in Apex. It locked you out of the game essentially. So yeah, and they apparently this had nothing to do with that community around the Titanfall 1 guys. Um, they're denying it. Who knows if that's true or not, but yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't happy with Titanfall 1 at the moment.
I mean, I feel like personally, you have in here as a question: can any good come from this?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see both sides, yes and no. It all depends on like what routes they've taken prior to try and save Titanfall. You know, if they've sent like thousands and thousands of emails or whatever to EA, is it EA that makes Titanfall?
Yeah,
Why am I
it's
confused?
Respawn.
Yeah,
It would be
Respawn.
Respawn and
EA
EA.
now.
Yeah, yeah, okay. But either
Well,
way, yeah.
it was EA back in
You
the
know,
day too.
if they've sent thousands and thousands of emails to Respawn and they, you know, either A, like responded saying like, no, we're not going to do anything about it, or B, like just ignoring all their emails, then maybe this was like a last ditch effort to try and get themselves seen.
I will say that Respawn did have a community post, I want to say in May, saying that help was on the way. I'm not sure how that effort is going at the moment, but I'm not with you on this one. I don't think any good comes out of this. All you did was make a bunch of gamers angry over the weekend. You made the devs have to work extra hard on Apex, making them ignore Titanfall even more. Um, yeah, I just don't think Respawn's really interested in Titanfall at the moment. They're focused on Apex. They're focused on whatever else they're working. Probably Star Wars. Probably some new VR game. Uh, Titanfall 1 and 2 is definitely not on their list. I guess Titanfall 2 has seen some hackers as well, but nothing to the level of Titanfall 1. Yeah, I'm it's a stupid move that just isn't going to help you out or the community at all.
I think it kind of opens up questions about a bigger conversation that I really don't want to get into, but it really makes you think like what is the obligation that a development team has to support an older game that effectively isn't played much anymore. Like thinking about the population report. So I pulled up the today's numbers on Steam for Apex. I've got that in front of me here. Um, Steam today peaked at 230,000 players for Apex, and there's currently just under 80,000 people playing at this hour. And you know, in my mind,
Now look
again,
up
what?
Titanfall though.
So, well, and that's the thing. I don't know if I can find it here. I'll do a little
It's
more
like
digging.
300.
But
They
I've
stick
only got
around
the.
300, and most of
It
those are
has
bots.
to be. Right, and so that's the thing. You're talking about a game with incredibly low population report. I love Titanfall. I thought Titanfall 1 was fantastic. I think Titanfall 2 is phenomenal. And I would love to see them continue some Titanfall franchise in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through Apex or otherwise. Um, that said, yeah, this sucks. This is not the way to go about this in any way, shape, or form. And you're just being an asshole. You're just being an asshole on the internet, typing away on your fucking keyboard, and nobody loves you. You're gonna die alone, and that's how it is. No, just kidding. No, no, I'm not.
I just really
Um,
feel. I mostly feel for the devs at this point.
yeah, yeah,
One of the devs had to come out and he was like, he was retweeting an article talking about the situation. He's like, yeah, I had to give up a weekend with my family. I was holding my newborn daughter, and I had to give her back to her mom so I could go and work the entire weekend because of
right.
this situation. And like,
In much less, it's not up to those people on the ground. It's not up to the dev team. It's not up to the people right above the dev team. Like, there are so many hands that guide what goes on at these companies, and of course, they're going to spend most of their time and effort focused on where the money is. That's Apex. It's huge. It's massive. It's the game to work on, and there's no reason not to. If there were a million people still playing Titanfall, then maybe we have a better conversation about this. But either way, not the way to do it. Dick move. Uh, Cry some more elsewhere. I also like Titanfall, and I'm not hacking and DDoSing people. So, yeah, I'm with you, John. I think this is insane, and no good comes of it whatsoever.
I
At all.
think that I think that it's a good idea. They just took it way too far. Them making the game
I
unplayable
don't think
for
it's a good
everybody.
idea at all.
Hey man, you want to get a point across?
They went into this specifically attacking the Apex Legends community. How is that a good situation at all?
No, I that's what I'm saying. They took it too far. They could have just had a message in there that just like had the website linked, but instead they broke the fucking game essentially.
I don't know. I'm not with you.
Hey man, they saw a problem. They're trying to solve it. That's all I'm saying. But
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, who knows? Maybe Respawn just says "fuck Titanfall" and they just kill the servers.
Right.
They could.
And that's, have you guys tried to play an old Call of Duty at all recently?
Yeah, they're great.
Well,
no
not if
no
you're
bots,
trying to
no
play
hackers.
Yeah, right. And we're talking about games that arguably still have relatively decent sized populations, probably more so than Titanfall for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And those situations suck. Don't get me wrong. Like, I wish I could go back and play some Black Ops 2 or something and not have to worry about some dude making my guns shoot poop or something. Like, I just would love to have that experience, but fiscally, it doesn't make sense for the company to do anything about it. And also, it's a super old online game. Like, at what point is it okay for them to let that go and not do anything? And in my mind, Titanfall 1's pretty fucking old. Titanfall 2 is a way better game in most ways.
But not in the multiplayer.
Well, yeah, Titanfall 1, I agree, was better.
Yeah. And that's where the problem is.
Right, right. Yeah, this situation sucks. Hackers suck, and yeah, weird situation.
Yeah, and I see what Connor's saying about the broader strokes meaning being of like, what obligation does the dev team have to an older game that's still online? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're going to keep it online, are they going to keep it clean, or are they just going to say, hey, you guys figure it out?
Right. Sorry, you missed the boat. This
Yeah.
game was popular 7 years ago.
Yeah, at what point is it like their obligation to either clean the servers or just shut them down completely? Because clearly what's happening now with the game is not working, apparently.
Even
If
if they
people-
And I
go in
worry-
and fix all these problems with Titanfall 1, sooner or later it's going to pop up again because
Yeah.
Respawn have other areas to focus on.
Yeah, they're not going to have
And
a
I worry,
dedicated team to
too,
this.
that this is going to have the opposite effect of what they want it to. Like, if I'm the guys at Respawn or EA, my response to this is, you suck. You just cost us a ton of money. We're just going to shut the servers off. Like there's no point in us keeping the servers on. We're just going to shut them off if you can't play nice. And like that's such an easier decision on their end than actually doing anything about this hacker problem, because everybody's been trying to tackle the hacking problem in video games since video games were a thing, and it's nigh impossible to do. It's people coming up with new things all the time. The games are getting more and more complicated with more and more holes in them, and it's a losing battle no matter what way you look at it. And to me, again, I could see this very easily pushing them in the direction of, well, I guess you just don't get Titanfall anymore.
Shut them down.
I
mean,
just have
honestly,
one more thing on.
sorry. The last thing I'm gonna say. It sounds like this like niche group of people who want to play Titanfall this badly would probably just create their own servers somehow to play the game online if it was shut down. Similar to how like WoW Classic, there were like I want to say like 6 to 10 very specific like private groups of servers that you could like. There were thousands of people playing on these. Granted, that's like one of the biggest games of all time, but still, I could see them doing that. I mean, if they're smart enough to hack fucking Apex Legends and make it unplayable for hours, then I don't see why they couldn't figure out some sort of infrastructure to set up their own stuff.
You've got that with Mario Kart. They could do it if they wanted to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that it, John? Were you going to say something else?
It's nothing important, just me.
All right, quick news. Thursday, we are getting a 30-minute state of play. It's going to include 9 minutes of Deathloop, and the rest is indies and third-party games.
Yeah, Sony specifically pointed out no God of War, no Horizon, no PlayStation VR. So, just random stuff in Deathloop.
I'm gonna watch it just to see the Xbox logo pop up in a PlayStation stream. That's the only thing I
mean,
care
we've already got PlayStation on Xbox, so yeah, it would be pretty nice to see.
We gotta
Xbox
complete
on
the
PlayStation.
cycle,
I saw Jason Schreier's tweet. I think it said, "Join us for a 30-minute state of play featuring an Xbox Game Studios game."
Right.
I thought that was funny. Moving on, DICE LA, a support team on Battlefield 2042, are now Ripple Effect Studios and making their own game. What do you guys think this could be? You think it's a first-person shooter?
Yeah,
it's got to be, right? Like they don't make not first-person shooters, for sure. This is just a follow-up. John, you would probably know more so than me, as you're pretty good at keeping track of some of this stuff. This is the studio that Vince Zampella of Respawn fame was recently put in charge of, is it not? One of the studios, sorry.
it is.
So I would imagine that he's probably got a large hand in a lot of this, and I think that that it could be interesting. It's a different approach for EA in how they treat their studios, and I just hope they stop forcing everybody to use the freaking Frostbite engine, man. I hate that thing. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not the biggest fan of Battlefield, although I am pretty excited for 2042. Yeah, we'll just see what it is. It might.
I just hope. I hope whatever it is. I hope it's not like too samey to Battlefield. You know what I mean?
Oh, it will be. Probably. You know what I really think it could be, since this is a support studio and they're like, hey, you know what? Try and make your own game, kind of like what they're doing with the Dead Space thing. Or yeah, we're gonna have you work on this remaster or remake. It might be a Bad Company remake.
Oh, sure. That would be rad, though. I would take that all day.
Bad Company are some of my favorite Battlefield games, so I'm all in for that. Or maybe it's a sequel, Bad Company 3. Who knows? Moving on. Hold on. Second thought. I'm backtracking again. What if they're the company? Think about Forza, right? You have like Forza simulation
you get the
games,
whiteboard for this.
Forza Horizon games, which is the more arcadey side of it, right? What if DICE LA isn't, or what is it now? Shit, Ripple Effect Studios.
Ripple Effect.
What if they're making like the Bad Company games, and then every other year you have a Battlefield games? Because the Bad Company games were good, and there was like the whole like humor aspect of those games. I think it'd be really cool. But moving on, Contraband is an Xbox exclusive because of Xbox Game Pass, says Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche is the developers of the Just Cause series and Mad Max. They're the ones making Contraband, that game that no one knows any idea what it is except for a multiplayer open world game. And honestly, I completely forgot that Xbox just announced this at their E3 show until today because there's just nothing on it. But yeah, they came out and said, they're like, hey, yeah, we love Game Pass. They've helped us so much in the past with what's their one game, Hunter Call of the Wild. Um, they cited that as being a key reason why they love Game Pass so much and why they actively pursued an Xbox exclusivity for this.
All right, moving on. RoboCop Rogue City has been announced. It's a first-person shooting game coming in 2023 from the Terminator Resistance devs.
Yes, this game's gonna be bad.
I was gonna say I don't remember
Yeah.
a Terminator Resistance game, and I feel like
No,
that's a sign that it was
wasn't good.
bad.
It came out a few years ago. I wanna
Okay,
say.
I think I remember seeing the
2019.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the game that was the year of E3 when they kept showing all this Terminator shit in all these games, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
Gears 5 got
Yeah.
Terminator stuff in it because of this. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
alright.
just to point out, the reviews on this were 60% on Metacritic and a 4 out of 10 from IGN.
I would say the
so-
60 is a little higher than I thought it would be.
Right. I remember anybody I talked to that actually got hands on this game said it was awful. So I have very low hopes for RoboCop. That said, I do want to say that I've never seen the movies and don't give a shit to. So,
Yeah.
yell at me
Yeah,
on the internet or something.
We were talking about that earlier with Indiana Jones, earlier this year with Indiana Jones. RoboCop is even worse. I don't care about this at all. And I
Yeah.
don't think he makes for a good FPS model because he's so clunky.
Yeah.
He's so
right.
slow.
First of
and
all,
everything.
Yeah.
I think RoboCop, his time has come and gone, right? I mean, like he was a
Yeah.
big deal in like the mid 90s to late 90s.
80s, I think, right?
80s to mid 90s maybe. I don't know. Either way, it's like I don't give a fuck about RoboCop, and I couldn't
Yeah,
tell
I don't
you
care.
one person who's a huge RoboCop fan.
There's-
That's
I mean,
from our
there's obviously
generation.
Some out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, from our generation, yeah, no
Yeah.
one cares.
Exactly.
This game is
So-
going to be bad.
I just want to point out, I live at Flint, for anybody on the internet who doesn't know. I'm going to get DDoS now. Flint, Michigan, and I'm not far from Detroit, Michigan. We have a RoboCop statue in Detroit, Michigan.
So
There
you're a
you
big
go.
fan. Big
Michigan
fan.
cares about RoboCop.
Yeah, so I guess it's going to sell really well here and nowhere else. So I'll report back later on that one.
All right.
All right, and the last quick news of the week. Shigeru Miyamoto largely only plays games he has created in the past. He is obsessed with Pokemon Go. Early inspiration came from Pac-Man and Tetris.
Yeah, so this came from a recent Nintendo, what are they called? Earnings call, board meeting kind of thing. And one of the people asked the heads of Nintendo, they're like, hey, if you're going to run a video game company, you need to like games. So to get to know you a little more, what games do you like? So everyone like
That's like
listed off some games. And pretty much it's Nintendo, so pretty much all they said was Nintendo games.
yeah, of course.
But I just thought it was interesting that Shigeru Miyamoto's like, yeah, no, I don't really play anything except games I've created.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I don't. It's like such a cocky thing to say.
Right? I mean, it's Shigeru Miyamoto. He can say it.
You
and
know, I
you know
know,
what?
but it's so
So,
cocky.
Just knowing the way he handles games now, that doesn't surprise me at all. He
That
is
sounds-
not.
That sounds like a Hideo Kojima response.
Yeah, he is not. He's not looking to change his games up. He's not looking to incorporate internet functionality into his games. He doesn't even like story in his games. If you listen to his quotes over the years, Mario Galaxy, he didn't even like the Rosalina like bedtime story to the Luma in there. He hates story in video games. He's only there for gameplay. As for the Pokemon Go thing, I mean, that was just interesting to me. And hey, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
Getting back
for
into
real.
Pokemon Go pretty big right now.
I played
Interesting
every day.
thing though, I did know about the Pac-Man inspiration back in the day because, which game is it? Is it called Pac-Man World, the side scroller one? I think that's it. It's a game that is it was from before Super Mario Brothers, and he looked at that and was like, "Oh, I like this idea," and that's where he got his idea for the like actual side scrolling. Back in the day, it was not that good. The side scrolling stuff, I think it was like very screen based. So you'd like have your area here, and then you would like scroll over to the next screen instead of Mario where the camera follows him. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say here? Um, yeah. I don't know where the Tetris inspiration came from though.
I YouTubed Pac-Man World, and I think I might have nightmares.
Was
This
I
is
right?
like,
Is it
I
like?
don't know.
Does it
No,
look like it was made in Microsoft Paint?
I, I don't know what I'm looking at. Hold on, I'm gonna share my screen here. I don't know if this is like the old one, but I also so it was on the NES. Okay, so this
Yeah,
must
it
be the
was in,
one.
or
No, this looks like
no,
an
no, that
N64
wouldn't
game
be
or
it.
something.
Okay, it wasn't that then. Give me a second. I'll look it up.
But it is a side-scrolling game, so I'm assuming whatever one you're referring to was, you know, the OG
Mm-hmm.
version of this. But what gave me nightmares was when I hovered over the thumbnail of this. Oh man, it's so cringe to look at. I don't even know what I'm
Maybe you're
looking at.
thinking of Pac-Man World on the Game Boy Advance, which looks terrible.
No, no.
Uh,
The game I am thinking of was it was an inspiration for the first Super Mario Brothers game.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, it's an old game.
Either way, let's move on. John,
I did find, before we jump into what we're playing here, I did find a player count on Steam for
Titanfall.
Titanfall 1. Yes. And
Oh, I found it. It's called Pac Land, not Pac Man World.
um, in the last 30 days, the peak player count has been, it'd be fun to guess. Why don't you guys guess what you think the peak player count in the last 30 days is? Mind you, the Save Titanfall thing just happened. There was a lot of hubbub about it, people chatting, so maybe it got people playing again. But in the
250.
last 30 days,
250.
250. Okay, John?
340.
340. Incredible guesses. Both of you are wrong because it's 42.
Oh,
Just 42.
How is that
That's it.
possible?
Well,
Wait,
keep
but
keep
that's
in mind
Steam,
it
though.
doesn't keep. It does have a large platform base on EA, which is probably where a majority of the players are. But
Yeah,
42, you can't imagine there's much more than that on the
maybe
EA side.
48.
You're right. Give us the full 100. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, let's move on. John, what have you been playing?
Boys,
90.
I said I wouldn't do it. I said I wouldn't do it. I said I couldn't do it. I had to stay away, but I couldn't. I'm back into Breath of the Wild, baby.
Did you
Oh,
ever say
yeah.
you wouldn't do it? I don't think you ever said you wouldn't do
Oh,
it.
I've said I need to stay away because if I start playing Breath of the Wild again, I won't play anything else. And
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
yeah, I am back in it in a big way. I love Breath of the Wild, baby. So I haven't even started a new game like I said I was going to do. I've just been going back into my save where I've completed everything except the Korok seeds, and I need to do the last DLC. I started doing that. But yeah, I've just been running around the world, seeing everything again, exploring everything I could find, finding even things even now that I didn't know were there originally. Game is so special, man. I love it so much, and I can't wait for 2. Yeah.
I do want to say, I
so-
did charge my Switch today with the intention of seeing where I was at in the game. Because I do want to finish the game. I know I'm not the biggest fan of the game, but I do want to finish it. So we'll see what
So,
comes
yeah.
of that.
Yeah, all I want to end on the Breath of the Wild stuff is that is my Zelda game of July, even with Skyward Sword coming out in a couple weeks.
All right. I guess I'll go next. I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. With the new A Pirate's Life DLC came out. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago at this point.
Mhm.
I played through all 5 of those Tall Tales. Loved every second of it, and now it's gotten some of my friends back into the game. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just enjoying going around, fucking around with friends, and
Would you be willing to run through them again? Because I want to do it.
no, yeah, I'll do it again because I want to get all the because there's deeds which are basically like side tasks, I guess you could say. Like it's just a checkbook. It's like a check mark in a book essentially of stuff to do. So I want to go through and get all the commendations and stuff for that. So yeah, I'd run through it again. And it's got me wanting to do some of the other Tall Tales as well, because I think that there are like 3 others that were in the game before.
More than 3.
Either way, yeah, it's got me
been
back.
Putting them in steadily over time, and I played the first one, and yeah, it changes things up and makes it much more enjoyable than what was there before, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we've found that like the community in that game is so cool. Like either so it's all PvP, right? So no matter what, anybody can come like gank you at any minute, like start attacking your ship. But what we found is like most of the community in that game are just friendly. And so if you have your alliance flag up, chances are they're going to join your alliance, and then if they turn in loot, you get like I think half as much gold and stuff and rep. But yeah, like what we found is that most people are friendly. Like I'll get a party invite from a random person saying, they'll be like, "Hey, we just went past you. Do you guys want to like link up? Can you help us do this or that?" And so it's just been really cool. But then you also get the assholes who will they've been playing the game way too much. They have no objective. Like shout out to Loops, who I was just talking to before the show. He said that earlier today, some dude sent him a party invite. He joined. He said, "Hey, what's going on, man?" The guy said, "Turn around." Loops turned around. The guy was aiming a cannon at his face. And the guy's like, "Look, hey, dude, don't worry, man." He's like, "I've just been going around killing people and taking all their loot." He said, "I have no use for this stuff," because he's like completely max level in the game. Like, he's like, "I could sell it, but I don't gain anything from it." He's like, "Do you want all this?" And then Loops was like, "I don't, like, I have a feeling you're just going to lure me in and just kill me." And the guy's like, "No, man, like, I'll just start unloading this shit." And he gave it all to Loops, and he just turned it all in.
At that point, wouldn't you want to play a different game?
Yeah, I completely agree. But it's just like, people who are committed to this game are really committed to this game, apparently. So
they've always been there.
Yeah. It's just that people come and go.
It is funny. Yeah, I just
like we met a dude in the game who has it set up so he plays on PC. Every time he texts, like he types to us in chat, it reads to us in a robot's voice in the game. And we played with this dude for like 6 hours like this, just because he knew everything. Like we were like questioning if he was a human being or just like a bot in the game, because it'd be like we'd look at the like objective for the quest, like, "Oh, it's telling us to go to Crook's Hollow. Let me go look at the map." And he would just type in chat southeast. Like he knew immediately. Like, and he was answering questions before I could even think of a response. Like Loops would ask me like, "Hey, how do I pull out my sword?" And he would type like RB, and I like it before I could even think about how to. It was just wild. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'll add you guys as friends and we could play tomorrow or whatever. I got to beat the pirate's life." And he was on the same step as us. And he sent me a friend request, and I looked at his profile picture, and it was like some creepy, like it looked like Marilyn Manson with like face paint on, like all dark lit and stuff. I was like, "Yo, man, you're his name was Wolfkill 666. I was like, "Yo, man, your profile pictures."
I've never met him, but I love his aesthetic.
I was like, "Dude, your profile pictures really giving me the heebie-jeebies right now." It was like 1 a.m, and he's like, "LOL." He's like, "That's actually me." I was like, "Oh my god." This guy's gonna murder me in my sleep tonight.
This guy's cool.
No, cool dude.
I would want to be friends with this guy.
And here's the thing: we were telling Kenny for like a full 2 days about how this guy was a robot, right? We're like, "Yeah, he only talks to us via chat," and so like he linked up with us to finish A Pirate's Life, and we were hyping him up to Kenny, and then we invite this guy, to the game, and he just starts talking to us like a normal human being. We're like, "Dude, what the fuck, man?" Like, we were telling him that you were a robot this whole time. He's like, "Oh, you guys were that squad that I wasn't talking to the other night." He's like, "Yeah, I was just bored and trying to spice things up or something." I was like, "You motherfucker. You played with us for like 6 hours and acted like you didn't have a mic." But yeah, shout out to Wolfkill666. I think that was his name. But yeah, definitely ran us through some shit, and I'm definitely back into Sea of Thieves. Probably stronger than I've ever been before. Connor, tell me about that VR, that sweet VR.
I'll do it, man. It's still hanging out right here, mostly because the charging cable is really small and it's easy to charge it at my computer.
It is a small charging cable.
It's absurd. I gotta buy a different one for sure. Yeah, so I've actually been dabbling with quite a few different games, uh, which is odd because I've taken such a weird long break from them. Um, that said, the biggest one that I've been diving into is Super Hot VR. I played the original Super Hot on PC, not terribly long after launch, and absolutely loved it. I think Super Hot is one of the most incredible and interesting indie games that we've seen in quite some time, and I'm glad to see them continue it. And the VR version of it is just more of the same. Fantastic quality. The tracking on the Oculus Quest 2 is awesome. I'm playing it via Oculus Link. So from my PC, it's being cast to my router and then to my Oculus wirelessly, and I've had no issues whatsoever. The tracking's great.
Isn't it
Interacting
insane?
with anything, it's nuts,
It
man.
doesn't
It
make
is
any sense.
crazy. Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I let my wife play it for a little bit, and I have like from my you might be able to see the door in my room here, but it's a straight hallway which kind of leads out to our common area, and where I have the VR setup usually is out in that room, and I can actually see down the hall to my computer. So I could still watch my wife play while hanging out with her in the living room, which was super super cool. And literally, like, no lag, no latency, no nothing. Like, everything just tracked perfectly. Never had an issue with it, and man, that game fucking rocks. I love the first Super Hot, but I honestly think that VR is where Super Hot shines in a big way. Um, Very smart encounters, very smart use of weaponry, and it is genuinely. Would you guys call this a puzzle game? Because I feel like Super Hot's a puzzle game, right? At its core,
Yeah.
like you're kind of solving scenarios and you have to plot things out. Maybe a tactics type, whatever you want
Confession:
to call it.
I've had a VR headset for 4 years now, 5 years. I still have not
Are you
played
gonna?
it.
Oh
Have
I
you
still
not played
haven't.
the
man,
normal console version either?
No, I haven't. All I know, I
Oh.
remember.
seriously?
I think I
Both
pulled up a
versions are
let's.
great.
I
It
think I.
doesn't matter
Yeah.
where you play it; it's a great game.
Think I pulled up
Hmm.
a let's play somewhere, and all I remember is just hearing "super hot,
Yeah.
super
That is it.
hot."
Yeah.
Super
And to be honest with you, it's
super
one thing
hot.
to watch the game. It is another thing entirely, in my opinion, to actually be involved in playing it.
Mhm.
Whether it's the VR version or the basic, there's just such a rush you get out of solving some of the more difficult mysteries, or encounters rather, in the game, and the VR just takes it up a notch, man. Like there were periods where like it would put me in an elevator, and the only thing I've got next to me is a bunch of throwing stars in the wall, and then the elevator doors open up and there's four dudes on the outside, right? So in Super Hot, if you're unfamiliar, anybody that hasn't played, time only moves when you do. So you can sit still, and as long as you're not moving, like everything is pretty static. But the moving and engaging with the environment, that's when time actually starts moving forward, and the encounter actually starts moving and progressing through. It's just an undescribable feeling when you can, like, throw a bottle at a dude, his pistol gets tossed up in the air, you catch it in one hand, there's a shotgun down on the ground next, you pick it up, like, shoot one dude with a pistol, another dude with a shotgun, all the while you're dodging bullets in slow-mo. And man, it is just such a rad experience, especially in VR. And I genuinely, anybody that has VR, I encourage you to try it out. It's very, very cool. The regular games, like John said, are fantastic as well, even if you don't have VR. And hats off to that team, man. I think they have really struck an awesome nerve in video games in a way that I didn't expect. And I think they're killing it with everything they've put out. I think they've got, what, 3 games out now in the Super Hot universe? There's Super Hot, Mind Control Delete, and then Super Hot VR. Um, yeah, very cool. I'm gonna keep playing VR. Really, to be honest with you, this is what it all comes down to. Super Hot VR is totally my training mode before I jump into Half Life Alyx. So once I beat Super Hot VR, I'm gonna start playing some Half Life Alyx and see where that's at. It's just a little bit more advanced, so figure I need some practice first. I have been sweating like crazy playing this game. I I don't know what's up with that, Joel. I think you're muted there.
Yeah,
I
you're
can't
muted,
hear you
Joel.
Yeah, I am
if you're
muted.
talking.
Sorry. I would highly recommend buying a rubber. They sell like rubber sleeves that go over the rim of the thing, because the one that's on there is like foam, and
Right.
that thing just like absorbs my sweat and it grossed me out. So I like the day
Probably
after I got
smells
it.
disgusting.
The day after I got it, I ordered like the rubber. It literally just like latches on there and stays on there. It's pretty nice. Off Amazon,
I'll
but
have to check it out. I didn't realize I was gonna sweat so much in VR. Like I wish there was a warning label. I can't imagine what Beat Saber's like on this thing.
oh, it's fun.
Very good.
It's a workout.
Yeah.
For sure.
Have you messed with your VR? I haven't done anything yet, but Oculus is like they're working on the hand tracking. So like if you don't have controllers, you just have that and it can like tell where your fingers are doing. Have you done anything
I have
with that?
not.
Neither
No.
have
You know, it seems like a very interesting feature. I haven't found a use case for it. I'll have to take a look and see what games support it, because I am interested, especially with how good the tracking is on the regular controllers. And it does kind of have a finger tracking
Yeah.
on there. If you rest your fingers on the buttons, it'll detect that your fingers are kind of curled, but you're not interacting with anything, which I thought was really interesting. So, yeah, nothing personally on the hand tracking thing, but I'm sure I'll check it out at some point in the future.
Cool. I'm gonna jump into my next game just because it's also a VR game. I've been playing Fit XR, which you've probably heard me talk about before. A game called Box VR on the PlayStation VR. And so it's the same company makes both games, but what they've done on the Oculus and I think on the Steam VR version is they've upgraded it to be called Fit XR. And instead of being able to buy the game as a whole, now you have to pay a $10 monthly like subscription fee, and they're constantly adding new workouts to it. So like they have like three different things. There's boxing, which is essentially Box VR, what I was playing before, just like reskinned more or less. And then they have dance, which I haven't touched at all, which I'm assuming is
Don't
just
you
like
lie.
Zumba or something. I seriously haven't. And then there's high intensity interval training, which is the one I've been doing most of, I'd say. And man, that game fucks you up, man. I sweat so much playing, because like before when I was playing just Box VR, all that is just standing there punching, doing uppercuts and hooks. But when the high intensity interval training ones, it like has you like stepping to the right and like punching both hands one way and like punching to the ground. It gets intense, man. There's a lot of
That's really
squatting
the
in there.
thing that I think takes the quest to the next level, is being able to draw out that play zone and
Yeah.
just existing in that play zone instead of, because the PlayStation VR, I don't know if you're terribly you've played the PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
It's a very static, stationary thing. Like you're not moving around. If you even turn slightly to one side, like the camera gets all fucky and stops tracking your movements correctly, and
Yeah.
it just gets very weird very quickly. So having that cableless freedom to move around, yeah, it's a totally different world, and I can only imagine.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Fit XR. Been doing that during my lunch workouts. It's been a good time. That combined with Beat Saber, but I've talked about that enough. John, what else have you been playing?
I'm back in on Dead by Daylight again, and man, is this game still fun. They're currently celebrating their 5th anniversary, so they've got an event going on, and they're giving out rewards and stuff for just playing, and it's great. I bought the Resident Evil pack, so I can play as Nemesis when I'm the killer, which I don't do. I'm terrible at killer, and I enjoy the Survivor gameplay much better. But you also can play as Jill and Leon as a survivor, which is a lot of fun. They're pretty cool. Yeah, Dead by Daylight's awesome, and yeah, I wish I had like friends to play with it because I enjoy that game so much.
I'm too much of a baby, honestly. Like we played before, and I screamed like a baby. Like I'm down to play. Hit me up if you see I'm on playing MLB or something. Join my party and ask if I want to play, or send me an invite.
It's just so stressful, It's a
It
very
stresses me
stressful
out.
video game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great though.
All right, Connor, what
5
else
years.
have you been playing?
Real quick. 5 years for a game that would be, I wouldn't say it's indie. That'd be like a AA studio. They've done an amazing job of supporting it.
Are they working on anything else?
I don't think so. It's just Dead by Daylight because they keep getting all these licenses to these big time horror
Yeah.
icons. So
Mhm.
like it must be working for them. Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Connor, you've already hinted at what else you've been playing. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I have probably in the past 2 weeks or so, I've probably put another 100 hours plus into Destiny 2 again. I don't know why. I'm just insane like that, I guess, and broken so fundamentally in a way that I can't stop myself. But man, it just Destiny's great, man. Like Bungie's got a great thing going. I don't think that the game is the best it's ever been, but I think we're moving in a direction that is uh, very healthy for the player base in a lot of ways, and we're really starting to see where Bungie wanted to take the franchise after the Activision split. Is obviously things are years in the making sometimes with content, and man, they're doing some right moves, and I'm very into it. They're also in the process of expanding, which hopefully means that again the game is going to continue to get bigger and better over time, and it is definitely my favorite live service game out there at all. It's kind of my comfort food. I jump back into it when I've got nothing else that quite sounds good, or that I
I
want to
wish
jump
I only
into.
had one of those.
Right, right.
I have so many.
It's definitely a couple, but Destiny is it's so easy to jump in and jump out of, and they've really moved in a way that streamlines a lot of that experience so that it's not so painful to catch back up on what you've missed. And genuinely, I say this every season it seems, but I think the current season is one of the best seasons of content they've put out for this game so far, and I'm very happy with the Splicer stuff. It's very cyberpunk, futuristic, techno fusiony, and the guns are super cool. The story's very cool and meaningful. I think that's one of the things that Destiny's been lacking for a long time here. Um, and they're seeming to really find that stride. So Destiny, man, if you have ever played it and you're thinking about jumping in again, don't do it. It's a drug. You're gonna spend all your money on it, just like I have. Don't tell my wife. Okay, that's it. Destiny 2. Thanks, Bungie.
Yeah, I definitely want to play more Destiny. I still haven't finished the new raid or old raid, I guess you could say.
All
The
the
Vault of
glass
Glass.
rocks, man.
I
Yeah.
we tried, that first week and we never finished it, so I got to get back and do it. But yeah, I think with that we're gonna end episode 150 of the Pixel Street podcast. Thanks so much for watching or listening to our podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Pixel Street. And subscribe to us on YouTube by searching Pixel Street videos to find exclusive content from us you will not find anywhere else. We are very close to 200 subscribers. We are at 197. So thank you again to everybody who has subscribed to us there. We appreciate it very much. Some projects we have going on right now. The Countdown to Infinite is still happening with me and Will. We just started Halo 2 yesterday, and
Yeah, you guys are having a good time with that.
I want to rip my fucking beard out of my face. All right, that's
Halo 2.
Are you playing on Legendary?
Yeah,
Halo 2 is the worst campaign for playing
100%, 100%
It is
the worst. We played for, I'm looking right now, 3 hours 11 minutes and 7 seconds, and we finished 3 missions, which works out for us because now we start Halo 3 ODST, because that's where it falls into the timeline, and we beat ODST and then come back to Halo 2. But oh man, Halo 2 is gonna be a long one for sure. But
Halo 2 is my favorite Halo. It also didn't age well at all.
It's my favorite Halo, but that Legendary, it's not even, what do you call it when it's not a perk? The opposite of a perk.
It's awful.
It's terrible.
It's downright terrible. That's all there is to say about it. Yeah.
But yeah, we have that going on. John just posted his review of the Fixture S1 and the case combo, so definitely be sure to check that out. Yeah, anything else we're working on? A Let's Play gonna come out?
Yeah, we're gonna have some new stuff here soon that we're probably recording after this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will also be posting a review for Mario Golf Super Rush hopefully this weekend.
Cool. You can also join our Discord by following the link in the description of this video below, or if you're listening on audio, just the description in general, and become a part of our growing community of nerds, because we are trying to grow, and we're probably going to do some Pale Party nights soon. That's the plan.
We just need to find the right game and the right time.
Yep. Finally, wherever you are watching or listening to the show, please give us a truthful rating, whether it's positive or negative. It'll help us get better for the future, so let us know what you think we can improve on and what you want to see. You can find me, Joel Campos, on Twitter at Campos63, twitch.tv/Campos63. Yeah. Connor, where are you at on them interwebs?
Twitter and Twitch at The Real Birch. Birch like the tree without the I, BRCH. I'm really interested. I'm going to complain about it on Twitter later today. In John's list of Assassin's Creed games, because I know he picked all the wrong ones as the best ones. So I'm gonna go.
Well,
yell
it's
about
it's
that.
all of them listed from best to worst, so you'll at least see all of them, but you'll also get to see me complain about the bad ones.
That's fair.
And
You probably
John-
picked the wrong ones for the best ones anyway. So.
John, where can we see your terrible list of Assassin's Creed?
Well, you could go to
rankings?
Twitter and find my handle at RevXShadows. I've shared it on there recently. But hey, if you want to check out the rest of my writing, go to GamePro.com. Lots of stuff I've put up recently. The Space Jam game, I covered that. Not a bad game.
Did you
Honestly.
beat it?
Oh, I 100%ed it.
Really? How long did that take?
It takes about a half hour to beat the story. 100%ing it took me probably about 3 hours, but I was also writing articles within there. So I would guess gameplay-wise was probably about 2 hours.
Cool. I definitely want to play it.
It's fun.
So yeah, we will see you right back here next week for episode 151 of the Pixel Street Podcast.
Watch Loki.
It's so good. I gotta watch the new episode.